Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 248 just dropped, and ladies and gentlemen, we have officially achieved the worst case scenario. That is also very fitting for this chapter title. Now, we all know that in the previous chapter, Lancelot did the big no-no and surprised everybody by accepting Kath's deal to take over his body, or at the very least install him with a chaos fragment, as well as his malicious and destructive will, in exchange for Guinevere's safety. Basically making it so that the guy who has solved 90% of our problems up to now has, in the span of basically one chapter, become the biggest threat to the entire world. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into this, because surprisingly this wasn't a very long chapter, or at least it didn't feel like it, but the message got across. Before we dive into that, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date for the latest uploads, because we talk about anime and manga every week on here. It's lit vibes. Be sure to hop on for the ride. I've noticed that a large percent of y'all who watch these videos are not subscribed. What's holding you back? Come on, I don't bite. Plus, it's free. It costs you nothing. And while you're at it, be sure to support my TikTok as well. I do drop daily videos on there, though. Without further ado, into the review. You know the drill. Bars, baby. On the chapter cover here, we got Guinevere and Lancelot hugging each other, basically the last thing we saw them doing as the chaos took over Lancelot at the end of the last chapter. And I'm not gonna lie, the way their heads are positioned looks really weird. It almost makes it seem like their hair colors are swapped. I, for a good moment, thought Lancelot was the one with the dark hair and Guinevere was the one with the light hair, which had me very, very confused. Moving on, though, we see the rest of the knights start to flee as the aura around Lancelot continues to expand. Percival still telling him not to accept the chaotic force, but obviously it is way too late, as Gawain tells them he made a binding contract with Kath. And although coerced, it was entirely his own decision, so they need to get the heck out of there. Everyone starts hearing a voice, though, telling them to hurry and get out of there, obviously being Lancelot himself, communicating telepathically with the last of his self-conscious energy. We then see the chaotic aura completely burst as Galahad calls out to his dad. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I completely understand everybody having their reservations about just getting out of there, right? This is their friend. But at the same time, it really feels like Gawain is the only sensible one here at the moment, because Lancelot made this decision of his own free will, like she said, like we saw. So this is clearly no longer a safe space by any means, and she's the only one currently trying to get everybody the heck out of there. But emerging from the chaotic energy is Lancelot himself, holding Guinevere and with this interesting new chaotic form. And we actually get back-to-back double spreads here as we get a better look at it on the next page. He's holding Izai's spear as well still, which I feel like definitely transformed due to the chaotic energy too. His right eye is also looking the same as Kath did in his King Arthur form. And somebody over on Twitter a few days ago said that this looks like Meliodas' assault form, and I just really can't unsee it now. Obviously there are differences here, but it is an interesting look for sure. I do want to mention as well that Guinevere looks tiny next to him right now. And like, I know Guinevere is obviously shorter than him, and Lancelot is somewhat tall just like his dad, but it feels like in this shot specifically, it is super accentuated. Like, did he get a height boost from chaos or something? Or did Guinevere somehow shrink down in some manner? Like, I don't know, it looks somewhat like off-putting in a sense. Moving on though, Chaos Lancelot starts twirling his spear, getting ready to attack everybody. And dude, Galahad still reaching out to him as everyone is running away makes me feel a little bit sad, I can't lie. But Merlin manages to open a portal to Britannia just in time and lets everybody escape. Which they are very lucky that Gawain is able to do that, because they would have been absolutely cooked had they stuck around a second longer. Essentially, Lancelot has completely annihilated the area. An even better look in this double spread at how widespread and destructive this attack was. And I do feel the need to interject very quickly here. This is the second time we've gotten back-to-back double spreads in this chapter alone, for something that's just giving us a better look at what we saw in the double spread that came right before it. And I don't want to sound overly negative here, but I can't help but feel like Nakaba just got like kind of lazy in a sense. Even though obviously I know that drawing double spreads takes crazy amounts of work. But it just feels kind of odd to show the same thing effectively twice in a row, when I feel like a double spread's job is to show some widespread grand reveal or whatever, right? But also, maybe he's just having fun drawing these panels. Who knows? I know this entire thing is like his life work. So I'm not gonna knock him for it. They look dope. We finally pan on over to Britannia though, where the citizens of Leonis as well as King Deanne and Gother are helping repair the town after the massive battle with Cath. But our knights have finally arrived. Obviously surprising the townsfolk having literally come out of nowhere, but at the same time, the Knights of the Holy Grail are genuinely amazed to see Deanne, a giant, and King, a fairy. And I'm guessing somehow, from the looks of it, from their time period, the only race that exists is humans. Now, I really want to know how on earth we get to this point, because clearly, for them to have been born, the four Knights of the Apocalypse have to have saved the world. So then, like, how did we end up in an era that has literally only humans if all's well that ends well, supposedly? And it is just now hitting me. Does Lancelot's descent to evil result in the death of all of the sins? Because if so, then dear God, we are in for some absolute brutality in the later half of this series. Tristan and Percival, though, finally break down crying, and Gawain is visibly very pissed as well. I feel terrible for him. The Knights of the Holy Grail are obviously feeling pretty down as well, but oh boy, King and Deanne being confused here. Ugh, wait till they find out. And honestly, even crazier, bro, wait till Tristan finds out about his mom. This dude basically just lost his best friend and now had to make a emergency escape to Britannia, his home where he's supposed to feel safe, hopefully getting to confide in his parents for their support, only to find out that his mom is in an indefinite coma. This is gonna break him. And genuinely, if it was anybody else, I would at least try to stomach it, but it would still be rough, obviously. But Tristan, dude, Tristan is such a sweetheart, bro. He is the kindest kid in this entire series. I'm not even kidding. I'm dreading that moment, man. I'm dreading that moment so much, bro. We finally pan back over to Lancelot, though, in the wake of the destruction he has now caused. And that bum Cath pops out, ready to control his new toy. Or at the very least, try, until he gets popped. And Lancelot tells him, "You're not the boss of me." And this is honestly kind of what I figured was going to happen. I didn't think Cath was genuinely going to possess Lancelot, you know, take over his body, move around, or even like take on his likeness like what happened with Arthur. I was very much under the impression that it was going to be similar to the Lady of the Lake situation, where Lancelot takes the power of chaos, as well as being corrupted by Cath's malice, but is still moving on his own, right? He's making his own decisions, but he's corrupt now. But Cath is not in control, and clearly that's what's been proven to us here. And really, after what happened with the Lady of the Lake, I don't know how Cath thought he was going to get away with this. But either way, the final page of the chapter shows us Lancelot officially declaring, "I don't need anyone ordering me to destroy the world. I'll do it by my own will and my own hand." Yeah, honestly, that sounds about right. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this definitely did feel like a relatively short chapter. I think it's because of the abundance of double spreads and also the lack of dialogue on like half the pages. But I mean, we are truly cooked here, and I am genuinely curious what is going to happen to the sins. Like, everybody knows about the prophecy Guinevere had with Bon, right? And like, considering Bon gets killed by a spear that Lancelot is holding, it's very obvious you can put two and two together. This form of Lancelot is the one that's gonna do him in, most likely. But to me, obviously, considering the surprise of the Knights of the Holy Grail seeing King and Deanne, and obviously being under the impression that only humans existed from their time period, what happens to the rest of the sins? Like, what happened here? Clearly they didn't die of old age, because this is like 25 years into the future from where we're at right now. And these guys have lifespans of thousands of years, and like indefinite at this point, honestly. Now, as for Guinevere, on the other hand, I do believe that she is genuinely safe, at the very least physically. Mentally, you know, we can make our assumptions. But I will also say that we 100,000% need another time skip, bro. And I know people have had their theories about the story being split up into 4 parts. The first time skip happened around chapter 128. Right now we're on chapter 248. If we're doing 128 chapters per part, then, you know, next one would be in, what, 8 chapters at chapter 256. Following that trend, I don't think we're going to be going literally by the exact numbers, but we need a time skip, bro. We need a time skip. And I think the only way that realistically happens is because Lancelot decides to start rebuilding Camelot, so he's gonna need time to steal parts from Britannia and do this and that to, you know, get all pieces in place again. So we know everybody's gotta split up again and whatnot, go to their different places. Percival goes to the Demon Realm, Tristan goes and trains with like Mael or something. Gawain goes and trains with Merlin. Tristan finally gets his training from Meliodas, his dad. He's well needed. We also got to figure out what on earth is going to happen to the other Knights of the Holy Grail, because clearly they walked into a portal. They didn't just snap there, so I don't think you can exactly snap them back. I think these guys are here to stay for now. But at the end of the day, banger chapter once again, peak plot development. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. And while you're down there, once again, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because we do anime and manga content every single week here. Also, be sure to follow my TikTok. I drop daily videos on there. You're gonna love the vibes. Either way though, I gotta get something to eat, so I will catch y'all in the next video. Have a blessed day. Peace.